Common sight on cruise ships, resorts and casinos. Piles of hot food in communal trays, each patron helping themselves to as many servings as desired. If just one is infected, it may be the perfect setting for a virus to flourish. And a new video out of Japan helps show how fast it could spread. Medical experts teamed up with the country's public broadcaster, NHK, in an experiment that simulates a cruise ship's buffet-style restaurant. First, one of 10 participants rubs his palms with special liquid only visible under black light. He represents an infected person who had coughed into his hands. Then he joins 9 others as they spoon food onto their plates and sit down to eat. After 30 minutes, the room goes dark before an ultraviolet light comes on. The fluorescent liquid is now visible on a lot of surfaces. Items the so-called infected person had touched. Tongs, pitchers, food tray lids. Left residue others picked up. And in turn spread to silverware, dishes, glassware, clothing and phones. After half an hour, every participant had come into contact with the liquid. 3 of them had gotten it on their faces, a visual show of how easily a contaminated substance can travel.
But I think what they've been able to do is to actually show just what the consequences are of the spreading of potential infectious disease from hands when proper hand hygiene is not performed.
Video of the experiment has been viewed millions of times since it was posted by NHK. The Joint Project Supervisor says it's partly meant to illustrate how often some surfaces are touched by many people, like handrails, light switches or door handles.
It may seem radical, but I think that video should be put in front of every single public restroom. Many of the countries which have opened up is that the outbreaks have been linked to small clusters, what people call not necessarily the people being super spreaders, but the locations being super spreaders, which highlights the need that people must be having much more attention to hand hygiene as well as to the social distancing.
NHK and its collaborators did a second, cleaner version of the experiment, using hygiene changes like separating dishes, replacing tongs frequently, and asking participants to wash their hands during and after the meal. 30 minutes into that experiment, no one had picked up the fluorescent paint. Anna Corrin, CNN.
Stop the recording then.
I want to ask you about your last health inspection, sir. We have a couple of quick questions. Hey! Hey!
The news is what?
Come on now. We want to ask about the inspection.
Ask about the inspection.
I'm gonna knock your ass.
You learn to roll with the punches while exposing Metro Atlanta's worst health violation.
You have to leave.
And by popular demand,
Fake news.
this is the greatest hits of the Restaurant Report Card.
Are you serving this to people?
No. Sorry, sir, you can't camera for me.
I recently questioned management at New China on New Hope Road in Lawrenceville after an employee was caught cutting meat on the ground outside the restaurant.
Meat is being cut behind the restaurant on the ground. I want to make sure that's not being served to customers.
No, it's not.
Management said the employee was preparing food for his own consumption and was later fired. And who could forget about this incident? An inspector forced an employee to throw away food at the Crispy Crunchy Chicken inside the Chevron on Fulton Industrial in Atlanta. This after rats were seen roaming around the kitchen area.
How many rats do you have here?
Like 10, 15, some
10 to 15 rats here?
like this, sometimes.
And they're getting into the food?
The store was forced to stop food sales and then temporarily shut down to get rid of the rats.